What's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing y'all how I tackle these eyebrows, so let's get into it. The first thing you're going to need is a spoolie. I got these off of Amazon. I'm going to try to put the link in the description box, but make sure you wet your spoolie. Then you're going to get some Jamaican black castor oil and you're going to pour that out into a cap. You're going to take your wet spoolie and then you're going to mix it up just like you see me do in a second. So you're going to get that nice and mixed and incorporated. I like to do this because I feel like it helps not only moisturize my eyebrows, but help with like dryness and avoiding friction when I start actually tweezing the hairs. And I feel like it helps me avoid like the irritation that you get from pulling the hairs out of your skin. If you don't have spoolies at home, you also have the option of using a Q-tip, but I like to use a spoolie because I feel like it does a good job of getting any debris, dry skin, or like dirt out of my eyebrows and just gives me a nice clean slate to start with. I need blisters. Now, some of y'all have already been here for a minute, so you should already know. One thing I do not play about is my blisters. So now, before I get started, I'm just going to go in and rub some of this oil mixture in, get my skin nice and moisturized before I start the tweezing. I don't really have a method to my madness. I've been doing my eyebrows now for about 10 years, since I was like 16 or like sophomore in high school, and I went through a lot of trial and error for a long time, and I've butchered my eyebrows more times than I can count, but by this point I definitely know how I like them to look and how I want to shape them. A tip that really helped me when I first started out was remembering that your eyebrows are meant to be sisters and not twins, so it is okay if they do not come out identical. It's also really important to remember that when you're doing your eyebrows, patience is everything. Take your time, because once you tweeze off hairs, they take forever to grow back. Just make sure that you take your time, and if you're a beginner, I highly recommend drawing out your eyebrows with a brow pencil or maybe some concealer before you get started to help you with your shape. The hardest part about doing my eyebrows is definitely perfecting the tail, because when I first started out, that was what I struggled with the most. I used to get a little too happy with the tweezers, and I would end up tweezing my entire tail off and would end up with like half an eyebrow. So once again, my advice to you is to most definitely take your time. It's also really helpful to have like a napkin or a paper towel or like some type of tissue nearby so that you can wipe the hair off the tweezers as you go. As you can see, as I'm going through this tail, I am being very patient with myself, taking my time, going over the same areas more than once, and being extremely careful about which hairs I pluck. I'm a little bit of a neat freak, so I definitely try to go in and get as many of those tiny hairs as I can, but you don't necessarily have to do that. I also try to go in and make sure I get the little hairs between my edges and the tail of my eyebrow. So right here, I'm just kind of struggling with getting those final touches on my tail, because I don't know if you guys can see, but there are a few hairs sticking out that I can definitely get, but I'm having trouble because of the tweezers. It's definitely super important to make sure that you're using like sharp and not dull tweezers, because that's going to help with the accuracy when you're pulling those hairs. Everyone's reactions to getting their eyebrows tweezed or either threaded or waxed or whatever is always going to be different, but for me personally, the underneath of my eyebrow is definitely the most sensitive. One of the big reasons why I stopped getting my eyebrows threaded is just because of, one, how painful it was, but also because of how sensitive my eyes were. And the women would oftentimes think that I was crying, but really my eyes were just watering up because my eyelids were so sensitive whenever they would be doing the underbrow. I found tweezing to be a little bit less painful, and the oil mixture that I put on my eyebrows before I get started definitely helps with the friction and helping prevent less irritation. Alright, so now we still got a little bit of a mess to work with, but we are getting there. Oh shit, I forgot about y'all, my bad. I kinda wanna just leave it so I don't fuck it up. Hold on. So this eyebrow on this side typically gives me a little bit more trouble just because it's not as naturally shaped and I have to put a little bit more effort into figuring out how I'm going to arch it. I personally try not to go longer than at least like 3 weeks without doing my eyebrows because of this reason. I feel like the more I let it grow back, the harder it is to shape it. But like I said earlier, there's not really a method to my madness. I kind of just do what I can do. I try to tackle what looks the easiest to tweeze off first, and then the closer I get to a shape is the more precise I try to be, if that makes sense. This was also a little more difficult than usual because I was using the camera and I'm used to being up really close to the mirror to give me a more accurate view of what I'm working with. And so trying to tweeze with the reflection of my camera just wasn't the best, but I tried what I did what I could do. Also, after spending all day editing this video and then spending about an hour or so doing this voiceover, I'm just now realizing I didn't even record this in the proper format for YouTube. But I'm gonna post it anyway because it just goes to show how important consistency is. Not every video or tutorial you do is gonna come out exactly how you imagined it, but you post the content anyway because who gives a damn? You may notice that with this eyebrow, I'm not too concerned with being really precise or making sure that it's perfect, just because I know that this eyebrow always gives me trouble, but I'm definitely going to try my best to make it as similarly shaped as the other one as I can. Don't know if y'all can tell, but I can definitely see my eye watering at this part because it's just so freaking painful. The underbrow, let me tell y'all, is nothing to play with. And again, I just want to stress how important it is to make sure that you're not dealing with dull tweezers, because as you can see, I'm really struggling right here trying to get this one little hair, and the hair is actually thick as hell right there, but because the tweezers are so dull, it's really hard for me to grasp. Also, I just want to take a moment to shamelessly plug in my skincare business, because I don't know if y'all could tell, but baby, this skin right here is chub hopping. Again, you do not have to worry about being this much of a perfectionist. 9 times out of 10 in pictures or in person, nobody's going to notice those tiny little hairs, especially if you're going to put makeup right on top of your eyebrows. But I like to wear a bare face, and because I've been doing my eyebrows for so long, I just take a lot of pride in how they come out. Once you get to this point in doing your eyebrows, you definitely got to be careful and watch yourself. Just make sure you're not doing too much and you're not tweezing off too much and getting tweezer happy, because that's how you fuck up. So now that I've completed my tweezing, we're going to work on our finishing touches and our aftercare. So what you see me doing here is, once again, just putting some oil in a cap, and then we're going to get our wet spoolie and mix that in with the oil just to dilute the oil a little bit and start applying that to the brows. Actually, I lied. I skipped the steps. So what you're about to see me do in a minute is wipe all of this off, because what I meant to do first was get some alcohol pads. So make sure that you have some alcohol. You should have done this beforehand, but we're going to do it after as well. So you're going to take that alcohol pad and wipe those eyebrows down. This is just to sterilize and get rid of any bacteria. Also, just a quick note, outside of putting the alcohol on your eyebrows when you finish, you also want to make sure you put alcohol on your eyebrows before you start. Make sure you wipe down your tweezers with alcohol, and you can also even spray your spoolies with alcohol just to make sure that everything is clean and sterile. I definitely feel like had I not put the oil, you would see a lot more redness and irritation. So that just goes back to what I was saying earlier about the oil helping you avoid friction and redness and dryness and irritation, because you don't want any of that. At this point, I'm just brushing through the brows, making sure I got any loose hairs and all that good stuff, making sure I can shape it how I want to. But once you got the oil in there, that's really all you gotta do. The rest of this part is just me being extra. Now I'm just rubbing the oil in with my fingers, but I'm also going to end up taking a tissue just to get all the excess oil off my face, because you definitely don't want to go to bed with all that on. Alright y'all, and that is the final product. I hope you guys like this tutorial. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure you hit that bell notification so that you don't miss my next video. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, alright? Love y'all. Arrivederci.